I'm honored that I've been given this opportunity to introduce the Premier. The Honorable Barry O Farrell MP is the Premier of New South Wales. The CV is very big, but we've just edited it, so I'll just read a few parts. New South Wales is the largest state in Australia in terms of population and economy. Premier O Farrell leads the government focused on growing New South Wales as a globally competitive business hub. The number one priority is continued improvement in the performance of New South Wales economy. The New South Wales government is building world-class infrastructure. We've seen it. Streamlining the planning and approval systems and providing quality services to the people of New South Wales. Strengthening international engagement between New South Wales and our closest trade and investment partners is the focus of New South Wales government. Premier O Farrell will visit India and other parts of Asia each year to build on strong relationships and business partnerships which have been established between our countries. Premier O Farrell is one of Australia's most experienced political leaders. He was first elected to the New South Wales Parliament as the member of Northcote in 1995 and has been the member of Ku-ring-gai since 1999. He served as leader of the opposition between 2007 and 11. The Premier, the floor is yours. This is the keynote address.
Thank you very much for that. And can I firstly thank the All India Association of Industries and the World Trade Centre Mumbai for this opportunity. But can I start by acknowledging the death today of Nelson Mandela? And when I woke up to that news this morning, I couldn't help but think of where I was and think that, like another great man of the last 100 years, he has the distinction of always being remembered for having led his people, like Gandhi, on a march for freedom and democracy. Can I say I'm delighted to be here at this historic cricket ground too, because it's been the scene of many cricketing battles between Australia and India down through the decades. But not just cricketing battles, but also some great friendships that have formed between Indian cricketers and Australian cricketers. And hopefully one of the results of today's event can be some deepening of those relationships to extend them to trade and investment. Can I say to the Chairman, the reason that I, like many Australian politicians, are interested in cricket is that we long for those VVS Laxman style long innings against Australia. You know, we hope that we'll be in office for a long time. So we envy those little masters, whether they're Bradmans or Tendulkars, who are able to stay at the wicket for a long time. And of course, we also envy them for the helmets and the padding that they get to wear, padding and helmets that we don't get to wear as we face the media in both India and Australia. As you've heard, New South Wales is Australia's largest state. You know, it pales into insignificance compared to the 1.3 billion people of India, at only 7.5 million people in New South Wales, but we are Australia's largest state. Sydney, like Mumbai, is also our financial capital. It's the centre of our financial services industry. It is also Australia's largest largest city, with a population of 4.5 million people. It's home to people from 192 different nationalities. We are multilingual, we are multi-faith, we are multicultural, and we happen to have the best educated workforce anywhere in my nation, with more than half of my citizens of working age having a degree or some other qualification. We are determined to, as a Liberal National Party government, to grow our economy. So in that sense, like the government here, like the government in Gujarat, we want to be open for business, which is also the slogan that our new Prime Minister used after his election to office 2 months ago. So we are determined to build on the historic trading links between Australia and India. Historic trading links that for my state and for my city go back to the late 1790s, when as a fledgling British colony, trade with Bombay as it then was, or with Mumbai, actually saved us from starvation and guaranteed our survival. And we've been keen as a government to continue those trading links because of what we understand. That increased trade and investment ultimately benefits people like you, people who are in the private sector. And that's important because it's the private sector, not the public sector, that generates and creates wealth. It's the private sector, not the public sector, that is able to create the jobs that citizens of both Maharashtra and also New South Wales will rely upon. But it's also a thriving economy and a thriving private sector that creates opportunities for individuals in all societies to seize opportunities, to perhaps move out of one job to start another business, to perhaps move from one profession to start another career. And ultimately that's about fulfilling the potential that exists within citizens, whether those citizens happen to be born in India or those citizens are born in my state. We as a state are also home to 11 of Australia's finest universities, some of the best universities in the world, and I'm pleased that we're joined here today by representatives of one of those fine universities, in fact one of the two universities in Sydney that's in the top 100 in the world, the University of New South Wales. The Pro-Vice Chancellor's here, but also a remarkable Australian, we now adopt you as Australian, who comes from Mumbai, who is doing remarkable things in the material science engineering sector, effectively turning waste into steel. It's called green steel, and I call her Dr. Zeus, but she has other qualifications and she has another name. But it's just an example of the great attributes that our universities add to Sydney. And of course, we are home to more students from India than any other city in Australia, as well as being home to more migrants and people of Indian origin than any other city in Australia. And so our cultural and people-to-people links are deep, and we're determined to develop them even further. As a government that understands the importance of economic growth, we're also engaged in a significant infrastructure investment program. Not the $1 trillion that your national government has set for this big country, but from our perspective, nevertheless, equally a record. More than $60 billion to be spent over the next 4 years in developing infrastructure, whether roads like WestConnex that we saw, whether railway lines, whether hospitals, whether schools, whether developments of our ports, designed to grow our economy, to create those opportunities, to allow the private sector to benefit even further so that individuals can seize those opportunities and live fulfilling, productive and worthwhile lives. We are, as part of that process, seeking investment. And so part of the way in which we, like many other states around the world, are financing those projects is through public-private partnerships. My state has the longest history of public-private partnerships of any state in Australia. So we're putting public funds into these projects. So for instance, as my Chief Secretary has said, the federal and state governments will put $3.3 billion into an $11.5 billion motorway project. The rest of that money we're looking to obtain from the private sector, who in exchange for their investment will receive toll revenue from those roads. So there are opportunities there for Indian companies to invest in public-private partnerships. And our range of public-private partnerships cover everything from motorways through hospitals, through to water treatment facilities. So it's a broad smorgasbord of projects that provide an opportunity for inbound investment. Equally though, we are as a government seeking to clear up some of our balance sheet, to recycle assets. And so we've recently sold 2 of our ports on 99-year leases, and by law the proceeds that we've received can only be invested in the infrastructure projects that will grow our economy. We're currently, for instance, seeking to sell the Port of Newcastle, which is one of the world's largest coal terminals. And there are opportunities there, whether in ports, whether in sandstone buildings for hotel developments, whether in desalination plants or other projects for investors in countries like this to park their investment to get a long-term stable rate of return, which of course is what many of us are after. We are, like many states, also opening up our economy. We are ensuring that there is contestability in the provision of services across the board. So for instance, in our largest city of Sydney, road maintenance is now not undertaken by the state government as it previously had been, it is contracted out to the private sector. Our ferries on Sydney Harbour, one of the greatest harbours of the world, are now run by the private sector. Again, opportunities for international investors to come in and either partner with local companies or to see themselves as running those facilities. Like the government of Maharashtra, we are seeking to use technology to better deliver services and information to our citizens. And that also provides opportunities for ICT companies in this country and in other countries to come in, as so many already have, in order to pursue business opportunities that exist and that, in my view, will only increase as the use of technology becomes even more ubiquitous across our societies. So I suppose that my message today is very clear, that we do want to attract trade, we do want to attract investment in order that the New South Wales economy can grow. But equally, we believe that trade and investment has to be a two-way street. And as has been said by the Chairman, as has been said by Mr Eccles, there are opportunities here for Australian companies to invest, to be engaged in growth, so that both of us learn from each other how to improve services, how to better deliver projects, and how to grow our economies using the best information from the private sector. So yesterday I was delighted to sign a number of agreements with the Chief Minister of Maharashtra to put some real outcomes, set some real outcomes for the agreements that we seek. It's fantastic to have the Water Agency represented here today, because those agreements range through water basin management, through to culture, through to mental health, through to agriculture, all of them incredibly important, where we can have exchanges, just as we had officials visit New South Wales earlier this year to see for themselves some of the things that we do well, for instance, grain handling, or the way in which in irrigation areas we have better managed the distribution of water. We were equally impressed by the way in which data is held about water use, particularly in rural and regional areas here in Maharashtra, in a way that is not as deep or not as wide or not as readily available in the state of New South Wales. So these are more than agreements to simply be put on the Chief Minister's and the Premier's bookshelves. These are agreements designed to deliver better outcomes. They're agreements designed to provide better services and to create a better foundation upon which individuals and in particular companies can build their futures and plan for an even more successful future for this state and for the state from which I come. So I want to thank both of the associations today who have put this opportunity here together. I welcome any question that you do want to ask. We do have a trade office here in Mumbai, and Rohit Machandra is our trade officer. He's here full time. I may only get to visit once a year. We get other ministers who come through, but Rohit is here 365. He's available 24/7. He never sleeps. That's true, isn't it, Rohit? So if you can't get your question answered today, Rohit is only a phone call or a visit away. But thank you again. I look forward to growing the great trade investment relationship even further. I look forward to that long innings that every person who walks out on this ground hopes to have, and I hope that some in this room get to share that as they seek to do business with New South Wales. Thank you.